And this is an exciting day that we are naming this the Atomic Veterans Memorial Bridge. So it's really so important that we remember their sacrifice and their service. From July of 1945 to September of 1962, the United States conducted over 1,000 nuclear tests. Over 200,000 service members from the Army, Navy, Marines were present during approximately 250 tests, whether as cleanup crews, technicians, or witnesses. And during this time, many veterans were not made aware by their government of the harmful effects of radiation from nuclear fallout on the human body and did not know their health was at risk. Additionally, many of these veterans were not provided with personal protective gear, and any grievances were often covered up by the federal government under a forced oath of silence. And to break this oath of silence, even to talk among other atomic veterans, was considered treason, punishable by imprisonment. And that's why we thank so many of the courageous veterans, some of whom are here today, for speaking out on the health risks and the dangers that they were exposed to. So last year, Assemblyman Byrne came to me with this idea, and I thank you very much, Kevin, for your taking the initiative on this. And so we introduced the bill in both houses of the legislature, and it was signed into law by Governor Kathy Hochul in October. And so it's my hope that motorists who pass by will be curious about atomic veterans, heroic ones like the ones who are here today. Dr. Francis Lincoln Gralfs, thank you for your service, sir, and your advocacy. Yes. And so renaming this bridge commemorates these veterans and offers them recognition in the hopes that many others will learn about their place in history. So again, I want to thank my colleague, Assemblyman Byrne. I want to thank Supervisor Slater and the town board, all the veterans who are here for joining us on this really exciting day. Thank you and God bless.
In the Pacific Ocean. He has worked on state and federal level to advocate for legislation to support our atomic veterans. And I certainly want to thank Mr. Kiefer and all those on his board who are here for their experiences and their advocacy. I'm going to ask Mr. Kiefer if he'll come up here to say a few words.
I want to thank everybody for making this day possible and for coming out and advocating for the atomic veterans. This is a historic day in being able to recognize, properly recognize our veterans. When you're trying to get accurate information from the government, often that's a challenge. We're under the belief that there were somewhere between 200 to 350,000 veterans that were involved with the original testing. We recently, 2 years ago, did to release some information that made us drop our jaw. The number they released was 550,000 veterans. So I'd like to recognize Ed Gecker as the catalyst for making this day start and possible. I'd like to recognize Lily Adams. If you raise your hand, she's a Union of Concerned scientist, and she has helped many of the veterans groups as well as the frontline affected community group, those downwinders and uranium mine workers. She has been instrumental in getting all the groups together and working together to get legislation passed. I'd like to recognize Dr. Danielle, who is well known for her studies and multi-generational legacies, Holocaust survivors. She's currently helping us with doing a survey of the nuclear descendant community and the effect the nuclear programs have had on those. I'd like to recognize Susie Susie from the military veterans advocacy and her husband.
I was transferred to a rescue tug bound for you-know-where, Bikini Island. And I participated in the first post-war test of atomic bombs, Operation Crossroads. There were 42,000 of us that went out there and participated in that test. And I'm not kidding you, we'd go around the ship and we'd say to each other, did you volunteer for this? No, did you? And we weren't volunteers. It's an outright lie that the government has perpetrated on all of you people to say that it was a volunteer task force. As Keith told you, I've not only suffered myself, and that's another lie that the government tells. I have 2 of my children have died from sicknesses that were very easily traceable to what they carried in their bloodstream from my exposure to radiation. But the government says, "Oh, that can't happen. You can't transmit that stuff." Don't kid yourself. So I've been fighting for 70 years to get the kind of recognition that New York State is giving us in part by this dedication today. And I told my daughter when she was dying, I won't give up this fight until I die. And here I am.
I consider myself, for you, Link, sir, to thank you for your years of service, your dedication, your advocacy. Also, I know we got a special birthday coming up. This is to thank you for your dedication. And I also have, I'm only going to be in the assembly for maybe another 6 months. But this is not paid for a taxpayer expense, a challenge coin on behalf of the people of New York's 94th Assembly District. That is for you, sir.
And this is for you, sir. Thank you for your courage and your tenacity. Thank you.
So we went up on standing quarters, and then they come on to the speaker. The captain spoke with it. All hands face to port. So I was on the port side, and so I was facing the other side. So anyway, they wanted us to face away from the direction of the bomb. It was an area, it was above the ground bomb, is what it was. And by the way, that island isn't there anymore. It was a 10.2 ton, megaton nuclear bomb. But anyways, so they say, the captain says, all right, all hands, pull your white hats down, roll your sleeves down, turn to the face of port, and close your eyes. And they said, okay, and then they started counting down. It got down to 1 and then it was 0. And at that time, the bomb was exploded. I felt the heat, and I'm suffering from some different various conditions now. But anyway, the bomb went off. I felt the heat, the hot air, and the roar. It sounded like a train coming down the road. And then they said, okay, you can turn around. So I turned around, and when I was turning around, I saw the little sun was over here, and over here was a bright red light that was smoke covered. And it rose up. It went up and up and up. And it covered the whole sky. And that's my story.
We introduced and were the main spearhead and grassroots movement for the Blue Water Navy Bill, which took 4 congressional sessions to pass and we also sued the VA and won. 9 judges out of 11 ruled in our favor, but we found out that after the Blue Water Navy bill was passed, there are many other sections of veterans who still are waiting for help, decided to merge with military veterans advocacy and help all groups of veterans with toxic exposure, radiation, etc. There's places like Guam, Thailand, Panama, Okinawa, and the Pacific Islands that we're still working on just for Agent Orange, because they're not covered yet. Then we found out that places like what Keith mentioned, Eniwetok, Greenland, Palomera, Spain, that's where the plane crash occurred, where radiological cleanup took place, exposing veterans to radiation. Of course, there are other places as well. It's not just bullets and IEDs that kill our men and women in war, but deadly chemicals and radiation. This is just another part of the cost of war. We cannot forget these veterans. And what I'd like to say too is just 2 little things I always say at every presentation. Our veterans live by a motto of leave no man behind. Well, this country has a new motto, leave no vet behind. And like my husband, when you raise your hand, you serve this nation at all costs, including your lives. This nation promised to care for you when you return. Let's make this country accountable for keeping that promise. This bridge will be the voice of all atomic war veterans. Do not forget us, it says, do not forget us, who sacrificed so much for this nation and all of you.